Hey, Stacey, welcome to the show.
Hi, Tom. It's so great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. So, for those of you who haven't met Stacey yet, Stacey Hall is the best-selling author of several books, including Chi to Be, where she shares her 11 powerful energy surges to boost your energy and vitality. Stacey is a sought-after keynote speaker, trainer, and coach, and she teaches entrepreneurs how to attract the perfect customers for their business. So, welcome, Stacey. It's great to have you.
Thank you. It really is fun. I've been looking forward to this interview for quite a while.
Awesome. So let's get into it. So tell us about kind of your background, how you got started as an author, writing your first book.
Well, I will tell you that I went to school and trained to be everything there was to be in journalism, and thinking I was going to be an investigative reporter when I came out. And what happened is I had a lot of credits that I still had to take once I finished all my core courses, went into advertising, marketing, public relations. And that's where I wound up when I graduated from college. So taking you all the way back, in public relations and marketing, working for major companies like Budget Rent-A-Car Corporation and FedEx. And a few years after that, I moved to Houston and I started working for the University of Houston alumni organization. And my role was to be of support to its members, many of whom were small business owners. And they liked what I was doing for the university, and many of them would ask me to give them a few pointers on what they could do to improve their businesses. And all of a sudden I realized that that's what I really loved, was demystifying marketing and advertising for small business owners. And I started teaching workshops, basically teaching people how to attract to them before there was such a thing as attraction marketing. That's the way I had always built my projects that met or exceeded their results. And so I was very happy that a local bank partnered with me, gave me use of their conference room, and I would invite small business owners in to chat with me and attend my workshops. And they were the ones who asked me to write a book. And when enough people tell you to do something, it seems like it's a smart thing to do it. So that was my first book. And my second book came about a few years later. I was having a conversation with somebody that I didn't even realize was a publisher. We were talking about my first book, and he basically said, "I want your book." And I said, "Well, it's already been traditionally published by Barrett Kohler, but if you wanted to, I'm sure you could buy it in wholesale and resell it." And he said, "No, I think you've got another book in there is what I'm really meaning. So I want you to write a book for me." And that became Chi to Be, which for people who don't know what Chi means, it's just energy. And I had learned along the way how easy it is to attract what you desire, but then how challenging it is to maintain all that abundance. And I learned the hard way. And so Chi to Be is not only about how to attract, but it's also how to sustain success.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So I know you had some health problems and stuff that kind of led you to writing that book as well. Maybe you want to share about that?
Well, as I said, success imploded on me. And when I say that it imploded, it had to do with the fact of I was a gal who was taught if you wanted to do anything right, you have to do it yourself. Well, interesting, as more and more success came in, I couldn't manage it by myself. And so I would hire people to help me, or I'd bring in partners to help me. And it was very funny that things still wound up on my shoulders. Why? Because that's where my belief system was. And so what eventually happened is I was working so terribly hard and much that I burnt out my adrenal system. And anybody who knows about that, it's basically where you can't get out of bed. People talk about it as being fibromyalgia or Epstein-Barr virus, but it's really the adrenals are burnt out. And it took me close to 3 years to finally be able to function again. And it was during that time, as I tell people, there was a particular day when I wasn't sure it was ever going to happen for me to get well again, that I just had one of those talks with God that, listen, I'm too good a person to be taken like this. This is ridiculous. I have a husband who's waiting for me to be a full partner for him. I've got my animals who I love. You better get me out of this bed and show me how to heal myself, because I know it's possible. And when you show me what works. I will write down everything I learned along the way, and then I'll be able to help other people, because I know on some level this is a broken heart around disappointment, which it was. And so that's what She to Be became, the 11 lessons I learned on how to deal with anything in your life to get over the disappointment, get back to enthusiasm, and keep on going to sustain your success.
That's awesome. So let's talk about then some of those energy surges that you share in your book. What are one or two of your favorite, ways and strategies that people can use to dramatically boost their energy and their success and maintain that?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to start with number 2 out of the 11, and that is do it your way, any way you can, which was inspired by an author that anybody who's in the self-help motivational category genre knows, and that's Zig Ziglar. I heard Zig speak, and he said something that just rocked my world, because he started out saying anything worth doing is worth doing. And of course, I thought he was going to say it's worth doing perfectly. And that's not what he said. He said it's worth doing poorly the first time. Because if we're not willing to do something poorly the first time in order to learn from it, what business do we have doing it at all? And I was the person who, if I didn't know what to do, I was frozen, because if I couldn't do it perfectly, I couldn't get myself motivated. And it was as if I was encased in cement, and I heard those words and they made such sense to me. I literally transformed my life that day. And I learned how to play and explore and discover. And that particular, what we call energy surge, number 2 of the whole system, is the one that I think makes the biggest difference for all the people who read my book. That's the one I hear the most about, is you freed me up, Stacey, to understand that nobody's likely to die if I do something wrong. Of course, brain surgeon might be different, but of course the brain surgeon doesn't start operating on a brain their very first day that they decide to be a brain surgeon. Let's play, let's discover, let's learn, let's experience, and let's turn to people who are experts before us and learn from them. And we will all be able to have a much more enjoyable, fun, uplifting time reaching our goals. So that's number uno, even though it's number 2 in the book.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, totally agree with that. I mean, for anyone who's suffered from perfectionism, you know how strangling it can be to your success, because you waste so much time thinking about it, trying to get it right, when you could just be moving on to something and making a real difference and a real impact and a real progress in your life.
Yeah, just start small, play with it. It doesn't have to be this grand plan. I always say put the seed in the ground first, figure out what's going to help that seed grow, and then eventually it will just grow and develop on its own organically, the way everything does in life.
Absolutely. So how does this principle or strategy play into attraction marketing like you teach? How do you use that with your clients to actually help them make big shifts in their marketing?
Okay, well, let's talk about energy surge number 4, and that actually is what I call the strategic attraction planning process. It's where we sit and we create a plan. And a lot of people have heard of the law of attraction. We all know the books that are out there. We all know the major teachers that we've heard about through the years. And yet, why is it that most people believe that the law of attraction doesn't work for them? They believe in the law of attraction, but they don't believe that it works for them, as if they're doing something wrong. And so in both my first book and now the second book, She to Be, I share with my readers that there are actually 4 questions, not one question, which is what most people tell us to do, which is focus. Tell us what you want to see happen in your life. Who do you want to attract? Yeah, that's the first question. But there's 3 others that are so much more important to that. One is identifying what's really the most important thing in the world to you. And I share how important it is to know that. Because if we want to transform ourselves from being searchlights into lighthouses that stand still and attract people to us, we have to know how to turn that light on. And that question leads to turning on the light. The third question that's important is to get very clear, who do I want to be in the world? Not just, I want to be somebody who helps other people, but truly spending as much time focusing on who I want to be in the world, who you want to be in the world, as we do as much time as we do on the people that we want to attract. And that's usually out of balance. We spend more time thinking about them or the people who haven't been perfect for us than we do thinking about who we want to be. And that's the clue, because the law of attraction is like attracts like. I have to be like the people I want to attract on certain levels. And so I talk about what those levels are, how to focus the brain. It's all been proven scientifically. You know, there's a lot of information out there now about brain retraining. And this is where it's really important to brain retrain. And the fourth concept, the fourth question, is to take a look at, where am I putting my energies? Are my energies aligned with who I say I want to be in the world in order to attract the people I want to be? Am I spending time in the areas that are most important in the world to me? Or am I still allowing myself to be pulled off balance and off center by what I think we're supposed to be doing? Because, you know, there's a lot of trainers out in the world, and it doesn't matter. I think just today I got free trainings on Instagram, free trainings on LinkedIn, free trainings on how to build wealth, free trainings on how to be a better email writer, right? I could be getting trained all day long in other people's systems. And I'm not saying that some of those aren't of value and that I don't use those. In fact, I downloaded your free book because I'm going to be doing some self-publishing coming up. But it's, am I downloading and am I really going to read that, put time and energy into that, because that's actually going to be in alignment with who I say I'm going to be. Without these other three questions being answered, and they're not one sentence answers, the law of attraction cannot work for us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I love that. That's a great series of questions. I think it's really, really powerful. And I want to talk about number three, like, you know, who do you want to be in the world? Because I'm in this like high-end business mastermind, and one of the guys there, we also talk about life. It's not just about business, but life and all that. And one of the guys there was talking about, you know, he wants to find a wife. He wants to find a life partner, right? And so he wrote down this list of every single quality he wants in his partner, you know, beautiful and intelligent and, you know, all these different things, right? And so we were like, okay, that's great. You've got that. Like, that's step one, right? Like, you're not there yet. So now you need to say, okay, who do you have to be to attract that kind of person into your life? Because you can't just focus on, you know, the customers or the wife or some other person. You have to make the change within yourself that are going to bring that to you and allow you to get those results that you want in your life.
Right. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'll just say, it's not about changing myself. It's about acknowledging who I really am. In fact, quite the opposite of change. It's stop changing and embrace who I am and who I want to be more of. And so, can I share a story with you? It's kind of funny, and it'll reinforce what you just said for people.
Yeah, sure.
So I've been married for 23 years, I think it is at this point. By the way, I met my husband within 2 days of creating a strategic attraction plan for attracting my perfect husband. I wasn't ready before that. We were engaged within 3 weeks, and we were married within 4 months, and we are still happily together. Although I forgot to put the apple shavings down the disposal this morning, so I wasn't so happy with me today. And I tell you that because a few months ago, I went out to dinner with a girlfriend, and two gentlemen came over to talk to us, we'll say, and it was, you know, a little nice for my ego, but I wasn't interested. And my girlfriend is single, and so she was attempting to have a conversation with one of the gentlemen. And he started to tell us how he had just had his girlfriend break up with him, and he didn't understand why. And so I started to ask him some of these questions. And I said to him, so tell me, were the two of you connected around what was the most important thing in the world to you? And he said, oh, no, absolutely not. I said, well, can you understand why that's why the relationship didn't work? The only thing that matters. And he tried to tell me, well, but she looked the way I wanted her to look. She had the color hair. She was the right height. She had the right, you know, physical dimensions. She did this, she did that. I said, okay, that's great. What's the most important thing in the world to you? And was that the same thing that was important to her? And he said again, no, it wasn't, but I don't understand why it didn't connect. I said, well, you need to read my book, because without connecting around what's the most important thing in the world to you, it doesn't matter if the person has all the other qualities. The relationship won't last, because it is that very essence of who we are, what we would live and die for, that causes us to be the lighthouse that other people want to hang out with and maintain a relationship with. So that would be what I would invite you to ask your friend. Tell him to focus on that, the most important thing in the world to him, and then start attracting a woman who really values that same value as he does.
Absolutely. That's great advice for sure. So I'm wondering, can we apply these same strategies and principles to a business, because a business has its own energy as well. How do we attract the right customers for a business, and can the same thing apply?
Well, it's absolutely the same. Human beings are human beings. You use the same process. The answers to the questions might be slightly different. Most of my clients come to me to learn how to keep expanding their business. So as I like to say, it's not just about attracting customers, it's about attracting the team that can support us in helping to attract those customers and clients. So whether we are wanting to attract employees, or whether we're wanting to attract business builders because we're in network marketing, or whether we want to attract the right vendors who support us in being able to get the right price points, it's the same process. But first, what we have to look at is, here's my big goal. Getting to my big goal in whatever it is in business, okay, maybe a certain level of sales, maybe it's a certain level of number of clients, maybe it's a certain level of fame or fortune in that area. Whatever that goal is, what we first have to figure out is, what's the group of people that are going to get us there faster? It isn't always about getting the plan first for the clients. We may not be ready to serve the clients or the customers that we want to serve. We may have to get that team in place first, or we may have to get investors first, or we may have to get those vendors in place first. And that's a step that I believe that a lot of business people, they don't think about. They immediately say, okay, I'm in business to make money. I need people to bring me money. Yes, you do. But let's take a step back and figure out, how are you going to serve those people? Who do you have to bring on to help you first? Maybe it's a mentor or a coach.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. I mean, starting with the team, I think that's really, really important. And, you can always, start with just a product and just yourself and go out there and talking to people. But eventually you're going to get to a point where you need to bring on a team in order to grow. Otherwise, there's no possibility of really growing. And like you said, meeting the needs of your customers in the long run.
And that's actually my third book, which is going to be forthcoming. I'm in the process of writing, is all about that team expanding from me to we. Because people aren't used to using the law of attraction in business, and the same 11 principles of how do we, as a group of people, so either Tom and you and I coming together for this interview, have to be aligned on certain qualities. You actually are a perfect person for me to be interviewed by. Do I have a plan for my perfect radio and talk show host? Absolutely, I do. So it's perfect for me. And I would tell you that the most important thing in the world to me is to make the world smile in some way every day. What would you tell me is the most important thing in the world to you?
It's to make a difference and to make people's lives better, and through education and knowledge and good ideas.
Yeah, so that's why we connected. It's how we attracted each other. Now, how would we, if we were going to continue to work together, create, let's say, a joint venture, we would sit down and co-create an attraction plan around, how do you get to make a difference in the world? How do I get to make a difference in the world? How do we support each other in doing that? And knowing that when we have differences of opinion, which appear like differences of opinion, bringing ourselves back to that core value and going forward from there. And even though businesses talk a big talk about values, for every person knowing what their value is, I don't see them getting people aligned around their values. And in meetings, when things start to get, we'll just say a little hairy, not stopping and going back to, okay, folks, let's remember what each of our core values are. How do we help each other do that and still achieve our goal? When we do that, I can tell you the sense of unity, the sense of purpose, and the success happens with velocity and ease.
Absolutely. No, I love that. And I've read all kinds of books on core values and business and leadership and all this, and, and it's easy to forget sometimes, when you're in an argument with a business partner or a client or someone, it's easy to forget, getting aligned with those core values. I know for you, you've been doing it for so long, it's just like habit, but, what are some tips for, keeping those values in mind as you go about making business decisions day after day after day?
Well, the first is you look at your plan every day for 5 minutes. And I'm going to tell you, yes, I've been doing this for many, many years. However, it's so easy to forget because issues from the past pop in, right? We get triggered all the time. If we get triggered, we go into a low, what I call low vibration energy. My attraction plan was created in a high vibration energy. It's almost as if I'm in San Diego, my plan's in New York. I forget that it's there unless I schedule for success, which is actually energy surge number one. Schedule it on my calendar to spend time so that when I look at my calendar, go, oh yeah, that's what I said I was going to do today. So that's number one. Is anything that is important, that's what goes on the calendar. Most people say, oh, I already know. I know I have to do that. I'm not going to put it on my calendar. And then at the end of the day, they wonder why it didn't get done. And they think they procrastinated, or they think their memory's going bad. Like, no, just you didn't give space for it to get done. You have to carve it out and give it priority so something else doesn't come along and get in its way. So that's number one tip. Schedule what you want to do, what's important for you to do for success. And then the other is a tip that I actually am going to give credit to a fitness form called the NIA technique, N-I-A, the NIA technique. Their website is nianow.com. You can find classes all over the world. I'm a trainer. I'm certified in this particular technique, movement for healing. And I was taught a concept of RAW, relaxed, alert, waiting. And that is every day, as much of the day as I can possibly practice and do, so it becomes like a living, breathing way of going through life, is to let my body relax, to bring my emotions to neutral, to let my mind have its chatter like little butterflies in my mind, but I don't have to do anything with them. And then to remember that in my spirit, that in this moment, everything's fine. It's a practice, I think you would say, of the power of now. And it's just to remember right now, I'm doing well. I've got a roof over my head. I got food in the fridge. I've got friends. I've got money. I'm doing great right now. So there's nothing for me to quote unquote need. I don't have to be in fear right now. So if I don't have to be in fear, I can allow myself to stay relaxed and become alert to everything around me. Become aware of what's coming to me rather than being defensive about it. Because, when we get into fear, our brain shut down, our spirit shut down. And so it's very hard to stay open and receive. You can't be a lighthouse if you're scared all the time. You've never seen a lighthouse bent over. If you have, it's time for that lighthouse to be repaired. And then to just wait to receive the information and see how it feels in our bodies. Does it feel good? If not, identify what about it doesn't feel right to me. Only make choices from what feels good, or ask questions if we're not sure, rather than reacting and assuming. And if more people were participated with another human being, be it one other human being or a whole group of other human beings at the same time, if this is how we interact with each other, and by the way, that is how my teams do. I have a variety of different teams. I have mastermind groups, and I have got group coaching clients, and I've got a social media team that supports me, and I have in my various other businesses, I'm part of a network marketing company. I've got a team there too. I do my best to help teach everybody this concept of raw so we can all be practicing it together, so that when we are communicating with each other, we're not stepping on each other's toes, like interrupting each other. We're waiting to hear the full conversation. We are relaxed in our ability to ask questions. What did you mean by that? Can you tell me more about that? Because I'm not getting a full answer. We'll pull a page from the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, which is not take anything personally. Because if you're in raw, you notice where you get pulled off, like, oh, okay, I took that personally. And our conversations wind up being much more uplifting. And I'll give you one example. Today, one of the members of my social media team wrote on Facebook to me that she wasn't quite feeling well. And she has a project she does every day. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know if that she was just giving me information, if she wanted me to know she wasn't going to be doing it. It wasn't clear to me. So I call and I ask, tell me, how are you feeling? What do you mean by you're not well? And I listened and I heard that she's probably got what most people would look like and say it's the flu. I said, okay, why don't you give your body the rest that it needs today? Because she said, my mind's fine, I can do the work. No, in my body, what feels right is for you to just relax and take good care of yourself. What we do on social media is, if it gets happening tomorrow, if it happens tomorrow, it's perfectly fine. Nobody's going to die if we don't post today. Go take care of yourself. And when she really sat with it and said, now you tell me how that feels in your body, she breathed a sigh of relief and said, yeah, I really think that's what is to be done. So we have our meetings. We only do where the energy feels good because we know we're in the process of attracting people. If we're not being who we want to be, or we intend to be, or want to be, then the kinds of people we're going to attract are not the people we're meant to serve. Mm-hmm. So I hope that helped a
Absolutely.
bit.
No, this is brilliant. I'm taking tons of notes here, and totally applicable to my life right now. And in a lot of ways, I'm big on reflecting, and like I would call it almost intuition. Like when you're making a big decision, it doesn't feel right in your body. I've learned over the years to trust that. Like if this great business deal is going to make a lot of money, but I don't feel right in my body, I know there's something wrong there. And I'm not really great at getting the next step. I usually just say no at that point. But you mentioned something about, asking questions about that and really tuning into that. How would you do that? Let's say, you've got a big decision and you're in your body just don't feel right about it, but you're not really sure why. How do you delve deep into that feeling and get at the root cause and maybe come out with a better solution at the end?
I have to tell you that I couldn't have set you up any better, and I didn't set you up at all to ask me that question, because it was exactly the decision-making process that God brought to me. It was an inspiration one day that I used for making all of my choices and decisions. And it's become very quick to do it. For anybody can do it in less than a minute. So tell you what, don't, well, don't tell us what your choice or decision is, but I'm going to take you through the process. And anybody who's watching us can go through the process too. So let's give everybody an opportunity to come up with a choice or decision that they're facing, because we go, whether it's do I have chicken or fish for dinner or something bigger. And then once you've got it, I'm going to give you the questions to ask yourself first, and then afterwards, Tom, if you want to ask me how this whole process came to be, I'd be happy to give you the background on it. Okay, coming from fear, why would you choose to not do what you're thinking of doing? Coming from your fears, what would keep you from doing what you think you might do?
Okay.
Coming from love, why would you choose to not do what you're thinking about doing? So coming from love, what would have you decide not to do it?
Okay, got it.
Okay. Now, coming from fear, why would you choose to do it? And I'll just say right here, sometimes there isn't an answer for one of these questions. If there's no answer, that's okay. And it'll just say it again. Coming from fear, why would you choose to do what you're considering? You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. And then coming from love, why would you choose to do what you're considering doing?
Got it.
As you think about all the answers you gave to each of those questions, identify which is the answer that had the strongest reaction in your body. Not the best and not the worst reaction, just the strongest reaction in your body.
Okay.
That's your answer. And it doesn't matter if it came from love or it came from fear. See, a lot of people are afraid to look at their fears because they've been told they should just be courageous and do it anyway. And that's not the truth. Our fears give us the opportunity to look to see what's standing in the way. Or is it really the most loving thing I can do for myself to not put myself in that position? Either way, your intuition knows, and it tells you through the physical reaction in your body. So exactly what you said earlier about intuition. Everybody feels this. They know when something feels good, they know when something doesn't. Giving space to be able to find out where it's not feeling good. It's what I call the solution process, and it's in my book. It's actually Energy Surge number 10. So not to tell us what your decision is, but just out of curiosity, did it help you clarify a little bit there?
Honestly, I'm gonna need a little more time to think about it because I was focusing on the questions and the process rather than going into the whole thing. But as soon as I get off this call, I'm definitely going to be going through it.
Okay, and just remember, don't judge it, whether it's a good feeling, a bad feeling, just the strongest answer, the one that you feel the strongest in your body, not here, but literally in here. And that's the answer. And sometimes people will say to me, well, I don't like that answer. And I'll say, okay, and it's where you're at right now. If you want it to be something else, then there's a place to look at what is blocking you from being able to say yes wholeheartedly to that other answer. And if you don't know, that's okay. Just sit with where you're at right now. Let that be okay, and wait until more information comes in. Then it can shift down the road, but this is where you're at right now.
Absolutely. Love it. That's wonderful. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
And just one follow-on tip I would give to that too is like, once you have that information, let's say, it would be great, but for this one problem, assuming you're working with other people, you can go to that person and say, hey, and share exactly how you're feeling. This would be great, but I have this problem. Can we work around this? And,
Absolutely.
asking for what you want, once you get clear on what you want, is a great way to make really amazing things happen.
Yes, and perfectly said. And that's exactly what's in my book is first you have to identify it. And rather than being in a situation where I don't know why I don't like it, I just don't like it. Well, that's not helpful to anyone. It's identify what doesn't work for you and then ask for what would. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Getting that clarity is really key. So thank you so much for sharing this. I'm definitely going to be using this, and I really, really appreciate it. Awesome.
Wonderful.
Awesome. Great. Well, we've only got a couple minutes left, but I'd love for you to share a little bit more about your book and the work that you do, and where people can find out more about you and connect with you.
Beautiful. Well, what I'd like to do is invite everyone to get my free subscription to my weekly attraction tips. And you do that at my website, which is chi-to-be.com, chi2b.com as in energy to be. Every week I put forth what I call an attraction tip, something we can do that's simple, that makes us more attractive to the people we intend to attract. And I also want to invite all of your listeners, all of your viewers, to what I call my Attraction Circle Power Hours. And once a month, I do a free group coaching session because oftentimes people aren't in a place financially yet to be able to invest in a coach or a mentor. Of course, I always say, how could you not find the money for that if you're in a place where you don't have it? Yet, it is true. Not everybody understands the importance of making that a priority financially in one's life. So my public services every month, usually on the third Thursday of every month, I have what are called the Attraction Circle Power Hours. And you can find me on Facebook at Stacey Hall 1 or in the Attraction Circle of Power. That's our group, our public group, the Attraction Circle of Power. And join me there, or send a message to me on Facebook at Stacey, and Stacey is Stacey Hall, Hall, and then 1, because there's a lot of Stacey Halls out there, but I'm number 1. And so those are 2 offers to your folks that I like to make in order to be of service and go beyond what we talked about today. And then, as I mentioned, I am in the process of writing a new 3rd book, which will be published through Parrot Kohler Publishers very soon, hopefully within the next year, which is all about this concept of team building using the law of attraction from me to we. And I also do private coaching sessions as well. People can ask me about those there. And then I'm going to send everybody to a video that I created called Be an Attraction Master. You can see it at beanattractionmaster.com. BEAN attractionmaster.com. Short video there that'll teach you a bit about what I call my fastest attraction mastery self-study program. So thanks for asking.
Awesome. Love it. That's fantastic. So if you're listening right now, all the links that Stacey mentioned throughout the interview will be on the podcast page, publishingprofitspodcast.com. Stacey, thanks so much for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure, and you shared just a wealth of wisdom with us. So thank you so much.
It has been a pure joy, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you offline because I could use your services too. And I think this process, I just realized you're my perfect self-publisher.
Absolutely. Sounds great. I'm looking forward to it.